Okay, welcome you guys back to our mini series on IGCSE guide video. And today's topic will be on studying tips and revising tips on IGCSE maths in particular. And we will also offer you some tools and websites that you guys can access to further assist your IGCSE maths journey. So the first point we would like to make is some tools and websites that you can use, and I will pass it over to Casey.
Okay, so I'm going to be just mentioning a couple of websites that we have used that were useful and helpful for our maths GCSE. Um, the first one that I put down was Cambridge. It's just called Cambridge, and that is just general past papers. And they put a lot of different years as well, like from 2017 to 2020. So that was really, really useful. Another one is called Z Notes. And that is basically a website that condenses notes, and it's a website for every IGCSE subject. But that one was really good as well. And some other websites like Khan Academy or Cognity. Cognity was really good for maths, but it does require a subscription. Also, My iMaths requires a subscription, but you can just ask your teacher because a lot of schools do have subscriptions with these maths websites because they're really, really useful and give step-by-step videos and things with them. Another one that I used which helped me a lot was BBC Bite Size. Now, in some countries, like if you don't have a VPL in Vietnam, then you won't be able to access it, but if you get that, then you'll be fine. And BBC Bite Size is really good too. It's a lot more kid friendly, like a lot more GCSE friendly, because it explains it really in a really simple way, which I think is obviously really good for GCSE students. So I definitely recommend that website a lot, and also for sciences that's really good. But yeah, for maths, that website was very, very useful. Or if you don't really like reading websites and reading notes and stuff like that, then you can also go on YouTube, which is also what I did. And I think the best YouTuber that I used for maths was called the GCSE Maths Tutor, and he would have like some 2-hour videos of like the whole syllabus. He would just go through it, and you just put it at like 2 times the speed, and you can make notes along the way. That was really, really useful. Or you could also find just like a certain topic if you were having an end of topic test, like before your GCSEs, then that was also really, really useful. Yes, okay, so those were the websites. I'm going to leave them all linked in the description. And I really highly recommend that you guys look at these because they really helped me and Huang. So Huang's gonna now, I'm gonna pass over to him when he's gonna talk about studying tips.
Okay, so for some studying tips that I would advise to of you, um, firstly, in regards to learning formulas. So as you guys would probably know by now, maths is I think at this stage of maths, it revolves mostly around formulas. So um, be be aware and assure that you will have to learn these formulas inside and out. So by this I mean that try to rearrange every single formula possible, so that you can understand the relationship between each components within a formula, so that when it is time for you to use it, you can use it effectively during your exams and your different progress check test. The second point that I would like to make is in regards to practice questions. So I would suggest to you guys to try a variety of difficulty, so from is easy to hard. So if you are someone that lacks a little bit of fundamentals in math, I would advise you guys to start easy so that you can really build that confidence and your understanding of different topics so that later on you can start leveling the difficulty up to medium and hard to challenge yourself more. The last tips that I would like to make for studying tips is in regards to calculator. So, um, one advice that I have been trying to like implement into my own study as well is that you should not rely on calculator, especially for questions that you know that you can solve it just by through like writing it through like your scrap papers. So if you know that question that you are trying to answer, you can definitely calculate it yourself. Then do not rely on calculator. So that um, you do not have to fill in gaps within your knowledge when you are trying to regurgitate those knowledge. And so through doing this you build a habit of um, you understand your capabilities in math and you do not have to rely as much on a calculator. Of course you still have to use your calculator for questions that requires advanced maths, so like it could be exponents, equations, and stuff like that. So do not think that I'm advising this to you and you have to always have to remember that do not use a calculator because that is not beneficial. But also, yeah, like what I said, um, just try to build a habit of don't rely on your calculator as much, and it will help with your longevity in later on during your journey of studying and especially for maths. So with that out of the way, I will hand it over to Casey to talk to you about one particular tips in revising maths.
Okay, so I recently, I say retook my maths GCSE just a week ago. And one thing that helped me massively was a checklist. I am going to leave it in the description. It helped me so much. And it basically had the topic, but then it had two little tick boxes. One was you think you know it, and then the other one was, you've nailed it. So you could tick it and be like, okay, I know this topic, so that you can move on to the next topic, but you want to still revisit it, which was really useful for me. And yeah, as I said, I'm going to leave that definitely in the description because that was really, really useful, and you can just find it on the internet. You don't have to pay for it. And it just went through the topics, and that was for core, and I can also leave the extended one down below as well, and I'll also link the syllabus and stuff like that. And I think this was really useful for me because I could assess my strengths and weaknesses throughout the checklist so that I wasn't just revising topics that I already knew what I was doing, because obviously that would be a waste of time. So that was it could allow me to evaluate what my strengths and weaknesses were, and then I can focus obviously on the weaknesses. And elaborating more on that, looking back at previous class notes was so useful, and I'm so happy that I made the notes while I was in class or after the lesson, because it saved me hours and hours and hours of making notes from the lessons. And obviously now we're online, the classes are recorded, but normally they're not recorded. Normally we would be in school and you can't record a lesson. So definitely looking back at previous class notes, just repetition is the main thing that you guys need to be doing for maths. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to do it a lot. So yeah, that's my advice for creating a checklist, and I'm gonna pass over to Huang, who's gonna mention 3 other tips that we have.
Yeah, thank you, Casey. So the last 3 points that I want to make is just further elaborating on the points that I have made earlier on for some studying tips, and it is related to just practicing questions. So after you have break down your strengths and weaknesses in each topics within maths, you can start to after you have reviewed your notes, of course, you can start to practice some questions varying in difficulties. So what I would suggest is that for the topics that you find that you have great strength in it, then try to challenge yourself with harder questions so that it can further establish that topics into your head, so that when it is time for the real exam, you can just you fluent in every possible scenario of that particular topic, and you can just blaze through it. And then after that, you can start to practice some questions for your topics that you find that you're weak at. So basically, practice easy questions first. So like I said, to build fundamentals, and you really understand the formula and the basic concepts of that topic. And then finally, after you've done every single thing possible, practicing different topic questions, varying in difficulties, made a checklist, look through it one more time to ensure you didn't miss any topics. Then after this stage, start to practice past papers. So what past papers would give you for maths in particular, it will combine every single topics that you have learned so far. Not every topic is going to pop up, but always check proof and always prepared for anything that can come up. And so with that in mind, I will pass it over to Casey for the concluding statement of today's video.
Yes, okay, thank you. So, yes, just to conclude what we have spoken about today, we have mentioned the websites that we think were very useful, and they are all in the description, as well as general past papers and YouTube links. Those are all in the description. We've also talked about studying tips and learning formulas, practice questions, and how we suggest we try not to rely so much on calculators. And we've also talked about the checklist, which I, again, will leave in the description. We've also talked about assessing your strengths and weaknesses and reviewing class notes. And we've also talked about practicing challenging questions, topic-specific questions, and of course, the main one, practicing past papers. I'm sorry to break it to you, but the only way that you're going to pass your maths exam is if you practice so many past papers. You just have to practice. There's no shortcut. There's no short way that you can do it. You just have to practice, and it will get easier. The more repetition of past papers you do, they become more similar, and you will do amazing, and it will all be fine. So that's this week's video. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in next week's series video.
Bye bye.